Doom the Dark Ages, I think it's not good. I think it's another step in the wrong direction that Eternal started after the amazing success of Doom 2016, which roared back onto the scene and reignited this long-lost style of shooter that Call of Duty and Halo and a few other games had seemingly kind of evolved us past. The run-and-gun style shooter of Gears of War, the sniping heavy, snap-aiming heavy games of the 2010s, and I think that Doom 2016 came in and said, no, we're the OG, and it's actually still good if we play like this, where it's super high-speed movement, a lot of verticality, jumping around, and just blasting enemies, and approaching matches like they're little miniature like Quake Arena events. And the little magic secret sauce that Doom did to get this perfect was having it so that whenever you got in close and did a gory execution animation, you got a health refill. So the game mechanically pushed you to be aggressive, and this was the magic trick that Doom 2016 did that no one else thought to do, and was brilliant because it plays into making the character come across as a badass mechanically, intrinsically to the gameplay. So whenever you're fighting an enemy, if you're trying to be like cautious and shoot from afar, Doom punishes you by keeping you from getting the fastest kill and refilling your health and ammunition. If you're playing conservatively in Doom, you're more likely to lose. And so Doom 2016, again, was this breath of fresh air on the shooter scene, and I loved it so much. And the guys who worked on it, I'm actually, I know a few of them, went to school with them, and they're just amazing. They've worked on several other big games, but it's such a cool, awesome thing. And then Eternal came along, and I also liked it, but I do think it was a step in the wrong direction. Let me explain why. Eternal did a lot of great things right, but the biggest problem I had with it was that it added these little sort of slotted kind of things that they started wanting the player to do. Instead of kind of fostering an environment where you could play how you wanted, with the only caveat that we want you to be more aggressive with the gore executions, Eternal started saying, actually, you need to remember whenever you encounter this enemy, the best way to defeat them is with this specific tool or this specific weapon, or when you need this kind of ammunition, you need to use this weapon to refill it. And it kind of started pushing you to use what they would want you to do. And unfortunately with Doom the Dark Ages, they've ratcheted that up to 11. So what I mean is like the new shield thing, instead of it being this sort of cool option in addition to your weapon, it feels like it's kind of taking the place of it in a lot of instances. And the fact that it like closes a huge gap when you're fighting enemies and it stuns them a little bit and your system locks on with it kind of makes it better than most of the guns, at least 2 hours in when I've been playing. And so again, they take away some of that agency you had. I feel like I'm kind of forced to use it. And there's other things like there's enemies with shields that you can't just try and shoot them from the side. No, the game wants you to heat their shield up by shooting it a few times, which heats the metal up. And then it becomes, I guess, brittle enough that when you hit it with your shield, it breaks it, which actually metal becomes more malleable at high temperatures, but now I'm getting into metallurgy and being a nerd about that. If you had it cold, it would be more brittle. But anyway, that's not the point. The point is, the great thing about Doom 2016 is it gave you that player choice. Again, the only thing they pushed you for was to be more aggressive. And then Eternal said, all right, we're going to have it so there's a few things we kind of need to do and remember to do, taking away some of that agency. And Doom the Dark Ages says, no, play it like this. And I think that's the biggest step backwards this is I've seen so far in it. I'm 2 hours in, and I found myself skipping cutscenes because they're leaning more into this lore stuff. And again, I know one of the things I loved about 2016 so much was that Doom guys seemed to like go like, fuck you, whenever you try to tell them story stuff. At one point, I remember early on, they really quickly show you like, there was like Samuel Hayden's trying to tell you something on the computer screen, and you just kind of tell them fuck off and push the computer screen away. Like, I don't care. If I'm not killing demons, I don't want to hear about it. And I love that. And it was so much of a less is more sort of storytelling mechanism that again leans into the idea of, talk very little and carry a big stick. So I feel like the game is pushed further and further away from that in an effort to try and come across more badass. They have characters telling other characters that he's badass and saying, oh no, the Slayer's been activated, but now he's on a leash. Don't worry, we have him under control. Like, I don't give a shit. I want the Doom guy to kind of push past everybody and just say, not say anything and just want to kill demons. But instead, they're so concerned with telling us who Prince Ass Clown, the rejected Cenobite of hell, is, and how this guy, the shirtless king, is so badass and he's needing the help from the Doom guy. And I think it's a step in the wrong direction in so many different ways. And it doesn't have Mick Gordon for any of the music either, which I know there was a falling out with it. But I would have thought by this point, 10 years in, we could have worked something out and gotten him back, because I think he is underappreciated by people for the impact that his music did on Doom 2016. It was sorely missed in a lot of Doom Eternal, and is completely gone in this. And I think most metal fans would agree with me that the soundtrack to this one is nowhere near the par that Mick set in 2016 Doom. But yeah, I don't know. I know it's early. I know it's probably, I'm going to get a few people saying this is a hot take. No, it's awesome. I love it. But I don't know. Is it just me? I think this is a step in the wrong direction. I really loved Doom 2016. I went and even played it after trying this for a little bit, and it felt like it was so much snappier, and like it felt more impactful. All of the gore animations made me feel like a more badass character than all the cool shields and capes and fur and all that stuff that this one has. And the graphics are basically the same. I've got a great system. Everything runs fine, 60 frames a second. And honestly, I don't know. What do you guys think? Am I right? Am I wrong? Is Dark Ages worse than Eternal, which is itself worse than 2016? Or do you disagree? I'm really curious to know your thoughts.